We're meeting here today 30 years after the body of Joan D'Alessandro was found here in this park after being brutally murdered by one of the Rockland County school teachers at Tappan Zee High. That sadistic pervert has been in jail ever since, and now every 2 years he comes up for parole. And we are trying to pass a law. We passed it in the Senate called Jones Law in memory of Joan D'Alessandro, so that anyone who does commit a crime commits a murder, if you will, while the sexual assault is going on of a child 13 years or younger, would have life without parole and not torture the family every 2 years where they have to come and plead to keep this killer in jail.
Child going through at the time, because she's bringing Girl Scout cookies to a neighbor across the street just to deliver the cookies. A person that you know, a person that you trust. We don't always know. We don't always know. A stranger doesn't have to look like, Godzilla, so to speak. A stranger could be you or I to a child. A child thinks that, well, this is, a friendly-looking person.
Sure.
And it doesn't mean anything. It's not just the quote-unquote scary-looking person that could be out there that might do you harm.
Welcome everyone to this 30th anniversary memorial ceremony for Joan D'Alessandro. To start with, I'm going to invite the director of the Marian Shrine, Father Steve DeMay, to say a prayer.
Lord God, our Father, your own Son was delivered into the hand of the wicked, and yet he overcame hatred by the blood of the cross. We who are gathered here today to remember Joan D'Alessandro and to remember all those countless others, young people, reminders of God's gift of his love to each of us, of their tragic separation from us. We take this opportunity, we who are here, to transform this spot, which has been, up until now, a reminder of man's inhumanity to man. A sign and a symbol of how base human nature can be. We ask you, Lord, to help us to transform this place into a site where we renew our commitment to combat violence in all its forms, where we recommit ourselves to doing our utmost to protect those most vulnerable that you have given to us, those who are most clearly a sign of your love to us, our children. We ask you, Lord, to watch over them. And for us, Lord, who suffer the loss and who have suffered the loss of a loved one, we ask you, Lord, to renew within us faith in your protection and your care. Protect us always from all violence. Keep us safe from the weapons of hatred. And help us, Lord, to do our very best, to do for those who cannot do for themselves. And we ask this in your name, amen.
Okay. All right. My brother will now read our mother's speech. She would like to be here today, but she does not have the strength yet to be out for such a long time. But she is doing better. And she invites anyone to our house who would like to visit her after the ceremony is over. All right, here we go. Yeah.
It was 30 years ago today that Joan was found here at this site. She was left here on April 19th, Holy Thursday, the day she died. In all the tragedy, there was a message of hope somewhere on that April 22nd, 1973. The day she was found was Easter Sunday. I listened to the voice inside that said there was a significant reason for these dates. And someday we would find out what the sign of hope would be. It would come in the fulfillment of 3 laws that would make it a safer place for children and give justice to victims of crime. They were New Jersey's Jones Law, Federal Jones Law, and New Jersey's Justice for Victims Law. The hope would continue now with the movement for Jones Law in New York State. I'm thinking of you all now as you come together to visit the site, and I hope you feel something special with this experience. I remember coming here and feeling closeness to Joan that was amazing. It was a surprise to know that with the sense of certain sadness, there could be such tranquility. The sign in memory of Joan will stand tall and confidently, showing love for her. I see it as a lasting memory, respecting her life and legacy. Joan's energy is around us and smiling with us. With thoughts and thanks for coming to remember her, all best wishes, Rosemarie D'Alessandro.
My brother and I will now unveil the sign that will mark this area in memory of our sister Joan. Hold this. Okay, the sign is green because Joan's favorite color was green, green symbolizes hope, and remember Joan today so tomorrow's children will be safe. You see with the green ribbons around. The heart is a symbol of our love for Joan. All right. My mother wrote this poem now to express her thoughts about Joan and that she would like to share with you.
Joan's sign. She was beautiful, with a twinkle in her blue eyes. She was joyful and spread her enthusiasm easily, loving dogs, dancing, and diving. She left us with her spirit of vivaciousness, compassion, fun, and peacefulness. What a wonderful time to celebrate the spirit of her life that continues to go on. She gives you her smile to remain in your heart as you look at the sign and visit here.
Now, I would like to invite Senator Thomas Morahan to speak. He is the sponsor of New York Jones Bill in the Senate. He has a great deal of interest in child safety issues and has been working very hard to get this bill through.
Thank you, John. First, I want to commend the two brothers for this ceremony in memory of their sister, a sister they never knew, that they were born after her death. A young child, 7 years of age, life snuffed out by a pervert, sadistic killer. A mother who today continues to mourn for the wedding she never went to for her daughter, for the grandchildren she may never see from Joan, and all the other expectations and joys of a parent with the child growing up. This is going to be a very special spot as we go forward through the years, especially with this very thoughtful and appropriate sign. John mentioned state legislation that was referred to by his mom. New Jersey passed it. We did pass a Jones Law last year in the New York State Senate, and we have sent that to the Assembly. And that session ended on December 31st, and we have a new Jones Law now coming out of the Senate. I expect its passage, and it will go again to the Assembly. And anyone, and I know my colleague Alexander Gromack, the Assemblyman, and Nancy Calhoun and Howard Mills and Ryan Carbon all will support that bill as well in the Assembly. I know Alex would be here today. He sent his Representative Kelly. He would have been here, but he had a family vacation planned, and he regrets he could not be with us to share this very special moment. But I can offer his regards for today as well, and I just hope that bill becomes law. But more importantly, there's another lady here today who had a daughter murdered in California. So this is not, unfortunately, so unique as that we don't have to be on guard. And there are many child safety issues facing us as parents in this very unusual time, in this very unusual world. But the killer is behind bars, will stay behind bars. If our bill passes in New York, as it did in New Jersey, it would prohibit anyone who commits a crime of murder while in the act of a sexual assault would get life without parole, and at least spare the family for fighting the parole system every 2 years after they become eligible for parole. People like this don't belong on the streets. People like this are sick and probably would commit another heinous crime. So John, Michael, thank you very much for inviting me here today. We'll continue to fight for the bill for your sister. I think you're two wonderful brothers and wonderful sons to your mom. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks a lot, Senator. Right now, I would like to invite Deborah Marinian to say a few words. She is the head of the Rockland County Volunteer Counseling and the head of Rockland County Children's Advocacy Network. She reached out to her family and has done a great deal to support Joan's bill in New York.
Thank you, John. Senator, what I think is just so extraordinary about this terrible, terrible event is that we have a family that instead of going inward and becoming bitter and discouraged, they have reached out to us and brought us into this marvelous, marvelous effort. I can't imagine families to be more generous to their community than to be able to do something like this on behalf of everybody else's children. And in that regard, I congratulate Rosemary D'Alessandro. I mean, she has just been extraordinary, and that she has raised these two young men to be able to advocate in this regard is a lesson to us all. Those of us who call ourselves children's advocates can only take a lesson from this page of the D'Alessandro family notebook. You are models to us all. We are appreciative to what you have done. And certainly may this experience never again happen in our communities. And if we only can work together and to advocate for the bill in New York State, we are collecting signatures as we speak to support the passage of this bill. So the Rockland Children's Advocacy Network supports it. Certainly my agency, VCS, does, and I know the County Executive's Office does. Nancy Baker is here on behalf of the County Executive in this ceremony. So thank you, John and Michael.
I will now read a thank you message from our mom and us. Warm greetings to all of you here today. Michael, John, and myself, thank you for coming here for this memorial ceremony for Joan. All of the support and help from Rockland County residents and throughout New York and New Jersey is greatly appreciated. Many of you here have played important roles in contributing to Joan's case, whether it was keeping the killer in jail or helping to lobby for legislation. Any kind of effort you have made has really made a difference. Michael, John, and myself would like to thank the Rockland County Highway Authority for putting this sign up for this day. It would have not been possible without their help. I would also like to thank the Stony Point Police for managing the traffic during this ceremony. In attendance is Senator Morahan, sponsor of Joan's bill. There are also representatives from Rockland County Executive Scott Vanderhoff's office and co-sponsor of Joan's bill, Assemblyman Alex Gromack's office. Right now, I would like to mention some of the people who have been involved with the case that I don't know if they were able to make it, but Joe Zuckerby was the Rockland County coroner at the time and gathered evidence to prosecute Joan's murderer. I don't know if he was able to make it, but and David Shea was on the New York State Police at the time and helped us find this site 5 years ago. Detective Dick Kramer, and Detective Dick Kramer was a detective in our town at the time and was the lead investigator in the case. Please know that all of your contributions have meant a lot in the journey for justice. And when Joan's killer becomes eligible again in 2010, we will need your support and help again to keep him in once more. Give me the schedule back.
You got the second page.
Yeah. All right, so that concludes our ceremony. We'll be going down now to the actual spot where her body was left. We have a rose and some other flowers people brought to lay down there. The rose was for Mom to symbolize her love since she couldn't be here. And I don't know if anyone if anyone wanted to say a few words, didn't get a chance. I guess not. Okay. And so that concludes our ceremony. What happened?
Is there anything on the second page?
No, well, we planted some flowers there already, but we're going to be laying down some of the rose and a rock. And anyone who'd like to join us and come down and see where she was laid, we can go. So thank you.
You hit everything? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Brenda Zofria. I'm here today to honor Rosemary, Michael, and John in all of the efforts that they've done to pass laws to protect children and keep predatory child molesters in jail. We're here to remember Joan, the little girl who gave her life, but whose memory is inspiring all of us to do more and to do better to protect our children.
My name is Pat Joya, and I'm here today to help support the D'Alessandro family. I know they've been on a long journey for justice for their dear Joan's death. And since I am also the parent of a murdered daughter, I have so much empathy and feelings of love, compassion, and support for them. I know they're trying so hard to get Joan's Law passed in New York State, and I will do everything I can. I do know Assemblyman Kuhn personally, who is carrying the bill, and I know he too will do everything he can to see that it is passed finally in New York State. I also know the D'Alessandros because in Albany, our state capital, we have a brick walkway, and there is a brick there for Joan. It's a brick walkway right in front of our New York State Crime Victims Memorial, and the walkway is filled with bricks, 475 now, I believe, bricks with the names of New York State crime victims. I'm just glad that this next memorial will be done for Joan, and I wish everyone in the family peace and love.
To Joan's family, an important message from the town of Stony Point. We feel for you. We're here today to support you, and this is a site that not only you can visit, but hopefully everyone in the town of Stony Point will be able to stop by and see, remember your daughter, remember the loved one, and to you and everyone else involved here, God bless you and a great job.
Hi, Rosemary. The boys did a great job today. It was very moving going down to the spot. Not that I know how you felt, but I got a little bit of a feeling of that. The sign is very nice, and it was a very nice ceremony. And it's just very nice to be here. Very, emotional to be here.
Hello, Rosemary. My name is Pat Feely. I'm with Catholic Community Services of Rockland, and I've met your son, John, before. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you and your family have done to help to save other children. I know it would have been very easy just to allow yourself to grieve and have great sorrow over your loss, but to have turned at such a terrible tragedy into something so wonderful by advocacy for this important legislation that will benefit all children. I've always felt a special bond with Joan, because when I see her in that little brownie uniform, I was a brownie, and I'm just very touched and moved each time I see her photograph. And I thank you for having raised a wonderful family, and I thank you for all the advocacy work that you have done. Thank you, and God bless.
It was a beautiful ceremony for Joan D'Alessandro. We were here because Rosemarie just could not be here today, but I'm glad that I was able to be a part of this beautiful service and this dedication of the sign to Joan and the 30th anniversary of her death. It was a very beautiful ceremony, and it was quite emotional, and there were a number of people here who were pretty upset, and we walked down to see the actual place where Joan's body was found, and it was a very emotional experience for me. I do remember this happening 30 years ago. I was a child myself at the time, a little bit older than Joan, but I have remembered this throughout my life and what had happened, and I did become friends with Rosemarie about 7 years ago. We've kept in touch, and I did promise her that I would come here today, and I'm glad that I was able to make it.
Thinking about what was this child going through at the time, because she's bringing Girl Scout cookies to a neighbor across the street just to deliver the cookies. A person that you know, a person that you trust.